Hello, my friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family. Thank you guys for joining us.
Hi, you guys. It's great to see everybody. Ray, Nuclear Quantum, Catherine, Leslie, The Wanderer. It's great to see you guys.
Yeah. This is just progressing so quickly. I think we wanted to kind of just maybe it was just me. I kind of wanted to get away from it at least for half of a day. So we put up a couple of videos on the other channel, Arts, and did a video before tackling this. Because you gotta get a break a little bit, guys, too. Although, man, it's definitely as far as this roller coaster ride goes. We didn't go down the big hill yet, or should we say we didn't go up the big hill yet.
No, we haven't. And Rena, I didn't get your message. I did message you, but we'll be in touch. I'll be in touch again soon.
So good to see everybody. Yeah, sometimes like Bob Barker says, you gotta walk away sometimes, just a little bit. Because it's weird. Boy, did I woke up feeling so good today. And I just felt great, and then clicked, take a look at a headline, and I just felt like my feeling greatness start to diminish. So I was like, okay, no, I'm not going to do that right now. And so, had a really good meditation session today and QiGong session, which made me feel so strong and healthy. And then we did go out and we got a nice walk in, and we took time to just sort of be in nature and just breathe in the nature before they started spreading the gunk in the skies again. It really makes a difference. Good to connect with nature. Good to get away from all these frequencies and vibrations that, are really hammering the crap out of us right now.
It is, but ultimately we all create our own surroundings. We all create our own inner bliss, our own inner joy, and I do think it has a lot to do with unplugging from the technology, really.
Hey there, Todd. Nanu. So he said, hey, I mean Mike and Cindy, not Mork and Mindy. I remember Mork and Mindy.
I remember Mork and Mindy too. They're fabulous.
So yeah, and thank everybody for their interest in getting their charts done. Cindy's she's been a busy little girl.
Yeah, I have. So I might get a little backed up, but definitely I'll be in touch with you if I haven't already.
Yeah, but it's good. More practice, and great insights as well. I see Maine in the house. We only went locally. We didn't go all the way down. It would have been, so the question was, did we take a drive to see if there was any military checkpoints? What we have seen is there is a staging area at 215, which is it's right at Nellis Air Force Base. So there is stuff going on down there, but is it about this, or is it just an exercise? We could put two and two together and say it probably is about this, but you know what? The other thing is we've definitely noticed an increase in bombing runs too. I mean, because that's my only explanation. Either that or we got some major quakes that are happening that nobody is, reporting, USGS or elsewhere. But, there's been a lot of military activity. We saw, and I got a picture of it too, a plane today, and it kills me when they put the little contrail things on any videos that mention that word, chemtrails, because this plane was going by not leaving anything, and then all of a sudden the usual tankers go by and they're spreading the sky. But this one was heading towards the air base, and it was unmarked, and it was pure white. It was a little bit unusual. But then we've also seen, well, you saw that helicopter.
Yeah, that was weird. It was a helicopter. It had like a globe ball hooked to it. So I've seen those kind when people ride in them and they want to see the landscape. They have that clear ball. That was odd.
There's unusual military activity, and there's bombing runs going on that we don't usually see so consistent or so big. So it feels like there's stuff going on militarily, and yeah, there is activity out there down around Vegas, right on 215, like the intersection of 215 with like 95 heading north out of town towards Indian Springs. But I think we're going to be seeing a lot of. We're obviously, it's obvious. We could see. I'm going to give you guys some headlines. There's some big stuff going down. This is huge, really.
There is, and as much as I want to like pull back and try to minimize it, these headlines are pretty shocking, and at the same time, I don't want people to be afraid. I want you guys to find your inner peace and handle this like just, as best as you can.
So yeah, I have seen the planes. I saw that in North Carolina, where you could actually see it was weird. It was like there was a negative line, like a dark line appearing ahead of where they were spraying. It was really bizarre, and I did get a little video on that. I don't even know where that video is now. I know I posted it about a year ago. So I have seen that. Ruby Tuesday, thank you so much. We're glad you're part of the family. There's a lot of weird stuff going on. What else was there? There's more events that happened. Weird things out there. There's so much going on. So to jump into things, we could look at this and we could see numbers are growing. Not really in China. They just shut down. They're like showing the same numbers, barely moving. And I've heard from some people that it's not that it's really slowed down there. It's just, this is just complete disinfo going on. And supposedly Beijing's being hard hit, especially right now. So 67-67 in South Korea, 47-47 in Iran. What do you think about those numbers? Right. Interesting choices. 46-36 in Italy, 696 others. I guess you can see some patterns here. Now, Germany 670 now, France 653. So we had talked before about how they passed Japan. And Japan's at 420, Spain's at 401. Spain will probably pass Japan in a few days. So there again, now Europe is catching up fast. And we got the U.S. showing 327. So that is going up quickly as well. And we got Switzerland at 214, UK 164, Singapore at 130, Netherlands 128. Some of this stuff just boggles the mind. How could Singapore have 130 and you have tiny little Netherlands with 128, and then Belgium at 109, Norway at 108, Hong Kong at 107? Really? Yeah, some people are not reporting. 101 Sweden, 83 Malaysia, 66 Austria, and we see the dots growing. And obviously China is totally covered. Middle East is expanding out. You see dots everywhere. There's dot in New Zealand, dot in South Africa. There's more dots coming out in Africa. Looks like Iceland's getting pretty far covered, and the U.S. is starting to get more covered as well. Now, this, a leaked presentation reveals the document U.S. hospitals are using to prepare for a major CV outbreak. It estimates 96 million U.S. coronavirus cases and 480,000 deaths. Wow, because that would be basically 1/3 of the U.S. population, because we're at like 330 million people. 1/3 of the people in the U.S. is what they're estimating are going to get it. That's huge.
That's a pretty big number. I think it's really important now that we seriously work on our immune systems, you guys. I mean, like, get rid of the sugar, throw it out. Inflammation, anything that reduces inflammation is your friend right now.
Yeah, and I know there's going to be people that will be screaming, it's not the virus, et cetera, et cetera. It's this, it's that, and I just hope we don't get caught up too much in, just like the whole flat Earth phenomenon. Something will be going on, and it might not even have much to do with it, and they'll just scream out, "The Earth is flat." It's like, yeah, we need to just sort of focus on the fact that obviously more and more people are getting sick. That's the bottom line, and more people are dying. So, what can we do and what should we avoid doing is really more about it, and err on the side of caution. So, if you look at the 1918 Spanish flu in the U.S., about 28% of the population became infected. So this they're showing, basically around the same or higher percentage. And the population back in those days was 105 million. And 500,000 to 675,000 died, which broke down to 0.48 to 0.64% of the population. Native American tribes were particularly hard hit. In the Four Corners area, there were 3,293 registered deaths amongst Native Americans. Interesting. It's wow. This is big. Looking at that, and so this is the whole article out of Business Insider. 96 million. That's the estimate. Coronavirus cases. 480,000 deaths. So, wow.
That's a lot. And, as long as the numbers are still going up and not down, I really want to keep an eye on this, because it's not just take everything at face value, just listen to the media. No, there's writing between the lines here. And that's what we try to do, is like pull this apart, pick it apart, look at it from every aspect that we can, so we can make the best decisions.
Yeah, so this obviously would, as this says, it could definitely push the healthcare system to its limits. As we see, hospitals are bracing for what could be millions of admissions nationwide as the virus spreads. American Hospital Association, which represents thousands of hospitals and health systems, hosted a webinar in February, and it was on the 26th of February, where its member hospitals and health systems. Business Insider obtained a copy of the slides and the presentation titled "What Healthcare Leaders Need to Know Preparing for the COVID-19." And again, that was February 26th, with representatives from National Ebola Training and Education Center. And the presentation contained an overview of the virus, projections and estimates about how much it might spread in the U.S., proper ways to identify CV patients, isolate them, keep caregivers at the hospitals informed. In particular, one slide presented by an expert included best guess estimates that there could be as many as 4.8 million hospitalizations associated with the coronavirus, 96 million cases overall, 480,000 deaths. Overall, the slide says hospitals should prepare for an impact to the system that's 10 times greater than a severe flu season. And those estimates come from Dr. James Lawler, a professor at the University of Nebraska Medical Center. They represent his interpretation of the data available. It's possible that the forecast will change as more information becomes available, a spokesman for Nebraska Medicine told Business Insider in an email. The American Hospital Association said the webinar reflected the views of experts who spoke during it, not necessarily its own. So, wow, that's sobering, I would guess, you would say, wouldn't you?
I would definitely say so. And, there's just so much going on. And I find this so odd that, boy, they seem to have this lined out and lined up and organized, almost as if they knew it would happen.
Well, people did know it was going to happen. China's going to catch a cold and it's going to spread across the globe. 2010. Event 201. And the other one in September, a month before Event 201. Then there's that Turkish guy that we've shown on Twitter that back in June said this was going to happen, and it did. So a lot of people knew, so a lot of people knew. That's the bottom line. And now we have more and more emergency declarations as well. making the way for National Guard to be used as well eventually. So we're gonna just kind of get used to that. There will be checkpoints coming. There will be National Guard on the streets probably. There's an awful lot of businesses that right now are telling people to telecommute, and that's good. That's a thumbs up. It still, even with our own family here, there's people that are not doing what they should do. They're just not. It's like you could lead a horse to water. I've said that too many times lately, but it's true. It'll take people face planting in front of people on the streets to wake some people up, unfortunately. And here you have Governor Wolf signs COVID-19 disaster declaration to provide increased support for state response. And so, as we're talking about Pennsylvania here, and here is talking about some New York cases, which have just jumped a lot. You're up to 33 confirmed statewide. So that's 11 additional cases in New York. Governor Cuomo says, "I'm not urging calm, I'm urging reality. I'm urging a factual response as opposed to an emotional response." So Westchester County, 26. New York City, 4. That surprises me. 26. Why did that get to be like that in Westchester? Westchester's more suburban. You would think, Manhattan and etc. In New York City, only 4. So again, I don't think we're getting accurate numbers. And, I think you're going to have people that are going to be thinking they're covering their own butt in some way. And here's the emergency declaration, state of Indiana out there as well. And it's a PDF. I got all the links up for you guys. And here we have Dr. Dina Grayson. And again, she's a scientist that's worked on Ebola vaccines and everything. She knows her stuff. Scientists estimate the actual number of CV-19 infections in King and Snohomish counties, this is in Washington, as of March 5th, is really 620, right? Only 77 cases have been confirmed. There's a lot of BS going on here. And, this is BS that's going to definitely cost lives. So you could see this growth trend that we're seeing. It's exponential. And again, it's a joke, the amount of tests that have been done. Absolute joke. So this coronavirus expert, well, he says, it is a war that's ongoing. And so this is Dr. Richard Hatchett. A lot of people have been quoting him lately as well. He says it's the scariest outbreak he's dealt with in his 20-year career, and that includes MERS, SARS, and Ebola. He says this is the scariest thing we've seen since 1918 with the Spanish flu. And he wanted to make it very clear he's not predicting this is going to be the Spanish flu. And he's not saying that it might not even be worse. He's just saying from what he has seen right now, this scares him more than any of these other things, including Ebola, which obviously is something that terrifies kind of anybody that's ever seen any of the people, what happens to them. It's pretty damn terrifying. Red alert here. CDC orders Seattle hospitals to stop coronavirus testing. What? What? What?
What?
It's, everything is, everything makes you scratch your head, but it's because they're now saying it's endemic, meaning the virus is now considered to be regularly found in the region amongst the population. That's not a good thing. It's endemic. It's too late now, basically, is what they're saying. And wow, how did this get? The incompetence, is this not incompetence?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's part of that, but from the very beginning of this, I've smelled deceit, and that's probably one of the nastiest frequencies Oh, thank you. People face plant because COVID mutations attack nervous system between brain and lungs, losing, forgetting to breathe, as being reported. Thank you for your support. Thank you so much for your support and your information.
Thank you, D Drag the Red. Yeah, there's so much info that's coming out, and of course we know there's at least 2 strains of it right now. But doesn't mean there's not other things going on, because there definitely is. We are aware of many things going on. Yeah, some worshiping Black Buffalo says it's not incompetence, it's intent. And still there's people that are defending the powers that be, sometimes very vehemently, when there's obvious, tremendous screw-ups. And then there's powers that be that all they care about is saying, was my fault. It was my fault, and meanwhile, more people are going to die as well. And, Danny Arnold says, no kits. Now we're getting a lot of contradictory stuff with that as well. Absolutely. It's incompetence or complete. Well, it's either that or it's planned. And then we have Azar here contradicting Pence, saying there's no coronavirus testing kit shortage. What? I thought you didn't have any, and everything that's coming out is just completely
it's just totally meant to confuse, and that's why I like staying on top of this. Not because I like to be confused, but because I like to try to pick it apart, read between the lines, see what you guys have to say, so we can try to make some sense of this, and hopefully we'll all come out the other end fairly safe.
So look at this statement. There is no testing kit shortage, nor has there ever been?
Right.
What? Azar said on ABC News on Friday, we will have by the end of the weekend over 1.2 million test kits around America in public health labs as well as in private and commercial labs, and that is scaling up by the millions, ramping up rapidly. And there's video here. You could listen for it yourselves, guys. There's never been? Can you get whiplash from listening to him? And over here we see Dr. Gina Grayson saying, Pence promised 1 million kits available by the end of this week, yet only 46 people of the 3,533 passengers and crew on the Grand Princess Hot Zone were tested. So why not testing more people unless you guys are just waiting for it to spread? And what about the WHO? And, it's still not a pandemic. I listened to that video of the doctor that we were talking about that was saying that, this is the scariest thing he's ever seen. And you could kind of tell that, he called it pandemic and said, well, it's either there or it's about to be there. And then, if you got so many cases all around the globe, when are you going to call it a pandemic?
Right, but then again, we saw information where it would cost them quite a pretty penny if they used that word.
So you see here, breaking, Pence says 21 people aboard the Grand Princess tested positive for CV-19. 19 crew, 2 passengers. Interesting there. Of the 2,422 guests and 1,111, that's interesting numerology there too, crew members, only 46 were tested. That's it. And so of 46, then you got 21 that had it. That's almost 50%. The ship will dock and all passengers will be tested and quarantined. That's from the New York Post. And you see down here now, New York announces 44 total coronavirus cases, double yesterday's total. So, I think most people are you guys getting a little ticked? A little bit kind of irritated and angry?
Yeah, it is irritating, but then I think that's part of this whole plan too, is to confuse and make people angry so that maybe we don't think straight. Maybe we don't do the right things. Maybe because being angry lowers your vibration. Being in fear lowers your vibration. That can do bad things to your immune system.
Yeah, hence the need to unplug, And thank you, Dr. Enoch Metatron.
Thank you.
We appreciate you too, brother. Angry Grand says they have over 50 today in Canada. Real number, yeah. Rate of almost doubling every 3.5 days. We still have all these different numbers. And, what is the RO? I was seeing another RO coming out today that was like 6.6, which I think that from what we've seen, that's 6 to 8, which again, the Spanish flu is 1.8, It's just like that the gentleman was saying there that we were quoting about how this scares him more than anything he's ever seen. It's because of just how fast it spreads, and which makes me think again about, just how cloudy it's been lately. Fast spread, a lot of clouds up there. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a whole lot going on, and this is a curious one, and I'm thinking, even if this one does fade out, they have this lined up to happen again, and I think the best thing we can do, you guys, the best way to take our power back is to take our immune systems back. They have put so much stuff in front of us. The only thing that I can think of that we don't really have control over is the chemtrails. But there are things to help clean out our system there too.
Yeah, and after doing the video I did, was it yesterday when I think was yesterday, showing the skies, and did a little video and just how crisscross they were. And then I could feel, like when we're driving back, just like the itchiness and the scratchiness, like in your throat, and then going down into your lungs. And then, after doing some meditation and sweating things out, I felt good again. Borax, food grade borax, guys. Food grade borax, put it in the bathtub. I don't know if Rosemary's here or not, but she would tell you that is a great thing against NA and O. There's many things going on here. Many things. So this is Dr. Eric. You can see the map is growing red, obviously. And now this is the doubling of time on the Washington area, 6.2. Basically, every 6.2 days it doubles. Right, so the numbers we were hearing was like maybe 620 cases in just those counties up there. So that in 6 days could be 1,200, 1,300 cases. So yeah, it's very, as this says, sobering. Seattle, Washington epidemic forecast by a genomic epidemiologist. Not for reading if faint of heart. 1,000 cases by the 10th. 2,000 cases by the 15th. We are not ready for all this. Tell your family and friends to prepare. This is no drill. So that's, again, Dr. Eric Feigl-Ding. And it's growing exponentially. That's what we're seeing here. So, hang on tight, guys. Hang on tight. And, this is basically, again, as a community message coming out and saying that it's endemic. So that's what they're saying in the two areas, the two counties, Snohomish, and I forgot what the other one was now. But basically, it's endemic. So it is widespread amongst the population now. So what do? Well, you limit your exposure as much as possible. Really, don't make frivolous trips out to places that have a lot of people.
Right. Don't, limit your exposure. Stay home when you can. Use our phones, our internet to chat with friends. I mean, we have FaceTime. We have so many things. We're so lucky. We're so extremely lucky for the technology that we do have, and now is probably the best time in your entire life to use it.
Huh. So Jenna says there's a movie on YouTube called Corona Corpse, Generation Zebulon. I wonder how much Corona beer stock went down now. You think about like crazy little things like that, because people will have this psychological thing going on subconsciously. It actually does go that way. And I know there's a lot of talk in there about this word, and that's real, man. And it seems like tons of people are suffering from it, and that does, from what we know, it gives you fibers that come out of the skin, and it does seem to come from what comes out of the planes that are up in the sky. And so over here we see 21 on cruise ship off of California's coast test positive, and gosh, you can't give away cruises right now. You can't give them away. And check this out. Whoa, Amtrak is suspending nonstop Acela service between DC and New York due to decreased demand. Wow. So they're suspending it from March 10th to Tuesday, May 26th. Wow. So any doubts which way this is heading? And so here they're doing the bump instead of shaking hands. And we watched videos of them, kicking each other's shoes and all. We are coming out into a different place now. And so here we see Healthy Florida has announced 3 new presumptive positive cases, 2 in Broward County that are isolated, 1 in Lee County that is deceased. A previously announced case in Santa Rosa County is also deceased. So, yeah, it's most definitely a serious situation. And some areas, it just seems to be getting hit so much harder. I just think there's a lot of countries that are just lying on their numbers. Totally, they have to be. But then there is the 2 strains, and one of them is a lot more deadly than the other from what we hear. So look at this. 10% of the doctors in Lombardy are infected. You have at least 1,060 people self-isolating at home, at least 2,394 hospitalized, at least 462 in intensive care. Of 197, at least 49 are ages 62 to 95. 4,636 total cases, 197 deaths, death ratio of 4.25% from 2.5%, approximately 9% admitted to ICU. That is really sobering numbers there, guys.
Yeah, and then there's not just this, there's the overall end goal. There's the overall end goal where they want control. There's an agenda. There's always money involved. There's always these other things involved that we can't even speak of or we get in trouble. But I'm sure you guys already know, a big part of the end goal. So it's not just about this CV thing here. No, that's not it at all. There's many facets to this thing. And I think to let our guard down right now wouldn't be very wise, because I don't know. I really think if we hold on to our health and hold on to EEA. Hold on. You sense through the ether individuals as I do. Nice to meet you. Keep doing what you're doing. You have a special calling. Applause to you and yours. Thank you.
Thank you so much again, brother, for your support. And we are coming together with our spiritual family, and there's several people I talk to on a regular basis, and some of them you guys probably know as well. And so I got from I gotta keep people's names out of it, but I got from a friend of a very well-known, well-versed person that really understands prepping, understands everything as far as how to survive in a grid down collapse, and the times that we are in now, right? And they are actually going and bugging out from a location that most people would think is perfect. And they're isolating themselves even more, which is just like a big heads up. So, they're going from a place that they have a huge investment in and heading off into, real boony land. So that shows, just how seriously they're taking it. And we should all be taking this very seriously. And Lombardy's in Italy. I know somebody said, where's Lombardy? So that's over in Italy. Italy's getting hit really hard. Italy and Iran, they're getting hit so hard.
Yeah, hear forth the music. That's exactly what is the end game, and they're going to do everything that they need to do and anything that they need to do to reach the end game. It's by any means possible. The means, and it's an end to the means, and it's terrible, or a means to the end. Sorry, I said that wrong, but they'll do whatever they have to do to get what they want.
Yeah, and Grace brings up the Georgia Guidestones. And we talked about, that Bill Gates quote, and it was just amazing to hear him talk about if they did a really good job with the vaccines, amongst other things, they could reduce the population by 10 to 15%. Yeah. He literally said that.
Over and over and over.
It was like, what did he just say?
10 different videos, I've seen him say those exact words.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of crazy, but it's right in our face. It really is right in our face. So let's look over here, and this is probably our future here. Maybe we'll all have to interact just through the use of robotics instead of ever seeing anybody face to face.
Right.
We're
getting there.
There was a movie that Sylvester Stallone did, and I forget what was it, Judge Dredd, maybe, I think, or something like that. I want to say it was Sandra Bullock in there with him, and in the future, it's like people no longer had sex. And so it was just thought of as being crazy to actually have physical contact, so they had this whole crazy Demolition Man. That's right. Demolition Man. So, I mean, is that what we're heading towards? It's going to be all these robots going around. Here you see a robotic disinfectant sprayer. They were spraying people down going into, was it Target or was it Walmart or...
It was Costco?
Costco, yeah. I think it was Costco. They were literally, there was somebody there at the entryway, and they were just spraying down everybody as you walked in.
Thank you so much, Miss Dragon. I'm in Washington. No afraid, somewhat prepped. We can't let fear take hold. Stay strong and help one another. Tell yourself, I will not get sick. Make it a mantra. I haven't had the flu in over 10 years. Thank you so much, Miss Dragon, for your words, your support. Your energy in the chat. You're super, super awesome, and you're absolutely right.
Yeah, most definitely. And I've shared with you guys, I remember the first time I ever got sick, I was about 5 years old, and it was at Christmas vacation, and I was in like kindergarten. But I remember that it was weird because there's like this little voice in the head that said you allowed yourself to get sick so you didn't have to go back to school and you could just play with your toys all day. And then again, it hit me too when I was around a teenager, and I had strep throat. I think it was like 13. And it hit me then too that it was like a voice told me. It wasn't even like it was me telling me. It was saying, you allowed yourself to get sick. It was a conscious decision. And so when I ruptured my discs, L4 and L5 from weightlifting, and I read about Bruce Francis, who's a QiGong Tai Chi master, and he did the same sort of thing, and he sent energy down and basically just healed his own discs through energy. And so, that's what I did. And, I started taking QiGong and learning and Tai Chi, and started to learn those arts and just worked on that and got better. And then I was told, you'll never jog again, you'll never weightlift again, you'll never do all these physical things, even play tennis, right? And I've done all of those, and even weightlifting, pretty damn heavy again, and all that the mainstream medical people told me would never happen. It was really a downer. When people tell you can't do this. When you think, when they give you your destiny, the prognosis, the whole way the medical system works is ass backwards. Yep. They tell you, oh, well, sorry, you're not going to do this again, or you only have 3 to 6 months. And then if you truly believe it and you send that signal to your cells, then it's going to manifest. But if not, if you don't, you could change your reality. We could heal. We could do a tremendous amount of healing. We're way stronger than we know, and most definitely, the medical system is completely ass backwards.
It is, and they told me too that I was going to have to be on this medication for life, and I would never function normally. But that's under whose definition of normal? That was the problem. And I let them tell me what my problems were, and then I let society drive me around until it almost killed me, until I learned how to take control of my own body, my own self, my own soul. Think for myself. If something doesn't sound right, then I take a look at that, and everyone should do that. And it's the same thing with what's going on here. Don't get sick, make it a mantra, like Miss Dragon said. I think that's absolutely beautiful advice. Don't allow it. Don't program it.
As Dr. Z says, I totally agree. It's to me, I think that's a perfect statement, what you just said. Chris P says our etheric body is more important. I think it's getting more important all the time, the energy bodies, because the change can be instantaneous now. Most definitely. We are very powerful beings. We have no clue. It's part of the whole system. Gets us into a limiting belief set. That's definitely it, and so that's how they maintain power. So exclusive here, this is out of the Atlantic, strongest evidence yet that America is botching CV testing. I don't know what went wrong, a former CDC chief told him, the Atlantic. No, of course, everything that we hear. And again, they're talking about Mike Pence promising 1.5 million tests. Okay, and then you got Azar saying, "Oh, there's no shortage. There never was a shortage. So why aren't they testing?" And the word criminal comes to mind. It most definitely is a criminal situation. It's just so frustrating. Lots of new and breaking stories tonight. We're learning a resident in Issaquah Nursing and Rehabilitation Center has tested positive for CV-19. Also, TPCHD confirms first case in Pierce County. And we have the latest in Kent at 6 as well. Look at this. They're painting over an Econolodge sign. I guess they're bringing people in there. I mean, watch for strange things to happen here, like we saw in China. And then we got people going crazy already. They're fighting over TP. They're already going knockdown, drag out, fighting over TP. Remember we saw the rice, and you guys that have been watching with us, the rice wars over there in China, and now you got the manager. He's got to get in here and say, "Come on, ladies, come on, let's try to behave.
Mm-hmm.
Hands off the TP."
Right? No, nobody gets it.
They're going WWE here, I mean, they are. Look at that. So there's a lot of beautiful humans out there that are going to be extremely generous and are going to be looking to pick up everybody they can, lift them up in some way, shape, or form. And then you're going to have people that are going to turn very animalistic. and we're going to see both sides of the spectrum, unfortunately. So we were talking about how there was like nobody in South America, and now we got Rio confirming 14th patient in Brazil. So it's spreading fast everywhere. 2 individuals at an APAC conference with Pence and Pomeo, McConnell, and others tested positive. So are we going to end up seeing what Iran is seeing with such a high percentage of their top political leaders and military officials, they're over there, they're dropping like flies.
Right. Yeah, they're testing positive and they don't look too good. Actually, our own president looked pretty sick, I thought.
Yeah, he has been looking pretty peaked.
Yeah, pretty bad.
I would agree. That's kind of the word for it. You gotta wonder exactly what they know. Or, what do they know? I mean, how high up do things really, really go? Self-isolation is not a bad idea. I mean, I don't see why anybody would go out in public that you don't have to right now, and it's just being prudent. So the other aspect to this is what's coming, and as far as financially. Liquidity angst builds in bond market and surging risk indicators. We're looking yesterday also at oil prices were crashing. Will there be a run on the banks at some point in time? Or do you think, or are people going to be too afraid to even have cash? I think the goods that you need are what we need to have around us. The stuff that's going to keep us alive, like food and water. And, we don't take any pharmaceuticals. So, but yet if you could see what we got just sitting on the desk here, there's boswellia, there's big thing of vitamin C, there's elderberry, there's D3, there's all sorts of herbs and stuff like that. Highlands bioplasma, and then there's 91% rubbing alcohol over here, and there's wipes over there, so, that's what we got going. Here you see intravenous vitamin C significantly reduces inflammation, right? So people have been getting treated and responding well to just simply high doses of vitamin C. So, that's not super expensive, and that's not going to have any negative effect on you. Thank you, Henry. Good to see you tonight, Henry Brown. Amazon prices going up on everything. I've been stocking up, plus they're limiting products at stores, and if South America have cases, then summer may not slow down. Good point, Henry. This sucks. I like going to the gym. I do too, but of course the gym is 80 miles away from us, so we don't really go. We have our own little home gym, so, and then we're gonna have to build a structure, to put it there. So, Rosemary's in the house, and think in terms of inflammation and think in terms of preventing inflammation, right? So pass on the Twinkies, guys. Right. Pass on the Twinkies. Don't add sugar to your coffee. Seriously, sugar, it promotes inflammation. Think about that. There's so many things you could do to boost your immune system and to reduce inflammatory response.
Yeah, super, super important. And that's one thing I did kind of recognize. I saw some people who were giving, kind of how they thought the upcoming year was going to go. And strangely enough, one of the things that they said is anti-inflammatory, anti-inflammatory all the way. And here we are, it's probably the most important thing you could do for yourself and your family and everyone you know and love.
Good question, Chris. Is honey okay? Again, if you get local honey, that has a good effect on your immune system. With anything, I would use it in moderation, but local honey is a better choice as far as sweeteners. And hey, Mr. Mark, how you doing, brother? He's taking vitamin C as well as turmeric. Yeah, I made some Indian braised cabbage with turmeric and tons of garlic and onions today, along with some black bean burgers that we made from scratch, and that had a ton of garlic in it as well.
Eyes of Jade, thinking about a fast, not sure if I can, but I'll find out. Start intermittently. Don't go out on the big long one right away. Like with me, I have blood sugar problems, so we took probably a good week with me, and so I didn't get sick because I can get dizzy pretty easily. So listen to your body. Start slow, intermittent.
But also know that if you could do a full 3-day fast, that does restore the immune system. It's an immune system reset. And thank you, Henry, again.
Aww.
Yeah, there you go. You want something a little sweet? Kiss your better half. Yeah, C60. A lot of people are definitely taking C60 as well. It is good to fast. And so, Karen says she does 16 hours a day. Yeah. We traditionally, well, now I'd say we probably do 18 to 20, and some days it's really, we just have the one meal. And I know there was somebody else I forgot, there was somebody that left a couple comments saying that, oh, I can't listen to this channel anymore. You're telling us to eat one meal. And not saying that. I'm just saying that everybody's different. We've built up to it. What it does do is it allows the body to get into a state of autophagy. And I'm sure that person doesn't have a clue as to what autophagy is all about. And that's basically clearing out the things that need to be cleared out. And that's part of the problem with having so much food available to us. We're always tempted to snack, and have 3 squares. And then I was brought up the same way. And for a long time, I was taking in 6 a day when I was, lifting really heavy and trying to put on a lot of muscle mass when I was in my 20s. That's what I grew up on. But as I realized more and studied about longevity, and every study on longevity, the one thing that always works to increase our longevity and our overall health is caloric restriction. So, by dropping about 25% of the calories, 25-30% of your calories, you could extend your lifespan typically 5 to 7 years from what we've seen with studies. And there's been tons of studies that show this as well. So, it's just a simple thing we can do. A really simple thing we could do. And, it saves you money. It saves you time. And I think it makes your body a little bit tougher. Think about how we were back in the hunter-gathering days. We would go days, really, sometimes without eating on a regular basis. Or maybe, you had one big meal here and there. And it was much more sporadic. And honestly, probably a typical human back then would way outdo a typical human now, except for like elite athletes.
Yeah, we've been taught, everything we've been taught from school, is a huge light. Oh, Stormy Weather, hi. I get how busy you two are. Whoops, sorry, sweetie. But I'm going through my hat in the ring with many others who are asking you to view the Cosmic Agency playlist from the beginning. All I can say is please keep an open mind as you ask others to. Thank you so much, Stormy Weather.
Thank you, Stormy Weather. We really appreciate it. Cosmic Agency, I think, I'm pretty sure I've watched them several times. Let me see real quick here.
And then, going back to our health, everything we've been taught is completely backwards. Just completely backwards. It's all wrong. And I swear the education system is just to make us good little battery sources so that we can go out and work for them. That's their whole plan. Oh, goodness sake. Hold on. Wages World, the 2 most dedicated friends and helpful, caring people the community has. Love you both. Oh, you've helped me more than I could ever say. No fear. Thank you, Ages World. And Henry Brown, I eat once a day, 11 a.m., 3 p.m. Romans 8 around that time. Plus, I do compound exercises 2 to 3 a week. Everything plant-based plus herbs for easy system. Very nice. Thank you.
Yeah, we are on the same page there, Henry. That's really good. And thank you, Brother Mark. We appreciate you, and much love to you and your family. And anybody out there that hasn't checked out Wages World, please go check out his channel and give him a subscribe and click his bell. He's a good man. He is really a good person, a good family member, and now a good brother.
Yes.
Definitely, we love him. And there's a lot of great people out there in this community. And, I was talking to David Devine again last night, because through just having this commonality, we've become, I would say friends, pretty good friends. And got a lot of respect for the man. He's a very intelligent man. He's done great work. Again, as has Christian, who's another, great guy with a big heart over Ice Age Farmer. Great channels, people that really are all about just trying to help people, because we see the train wreck coming, and now we're experiencing a train wreck, so there's so many people that all they want to do is help people, and that's beautiful. There again, I don't expect to see any of the people I just mentioned fighting over TP in Walmart. It's going to be more like, oh, here, take mine, and it's just, it's going to bring out, these times are going to bring out the best in some and then the worst in others. But recognize that we can't let our center be taken away from us, because ultimately, as I was talking about in the video I did just before this, everything is consciousness, everything is consciousness. Consciousness is fundamental. It comes before the physical, and there are so many great traditions that talk about this. So this reality we see is created for consciousness, and not the other way around. So as we were saying in the other video, and this hit me when I was 5 years old. I realized after my brother's death, he was sick from the time he was 5, and then he died at 16. He was 11 years older than me. And I was 5, and I still remember putting my hand up and it being in his hand. And he was a tall guy. At 16, he was like 6'4", but skinny as a rail. And after he died, I just remember staring at the wall, and somehow the realization hit me. And again, it's almost like somebody's telling me, you're not the body. You have a body, but you're not the body. And so, like, from that age forward, I kind of knew. I just knew. And I have to think it's part of the soul's journey, and because of how natural it comes to me to do things like meditation and QiGong, and I've had like kind of visions, which I think are past life memories of basically living in a cave and being a monk. I have clear visions of that, and I actually think it was in Nepal, and I think that was the last life I had before this one. So it explains why so much of that and all those traditions just feel like home to me. They really do.
Yeah, there's so much that we don't know, so much that we're not taught, and it's horrible. We should be given our true history. We should be told who we are, what we can do, and I think a lot of this is a war on consciousness, and it's to try to make sure that we don't realize what we're capable of and who we are, because they have an agenda. They need us for a specific thing, and if we wake up and realize, hey, we don't have to do this anymore, they're in trouble. So it's like when somebody abusive is getting, and if the relationship is coming to an end, they start pulling out all the stops, and there's no telling what they're going to pull out, and that's why I like to keep an eye on this.
Yeah, so Miss Dragon says she has visions of being drowned. When I was in Ohio, I had a very, very busy practice, and I was just working my butt off all the time with lots of clients. And I had one client that would get such severe edema, and she wasn't heavy, and she was about 42. in pretty good shape, and but yet the edema would come back and her legs would swell up like you wouldn't believe, but there was nothing underlying. There was no diabetes, no circulatory issues that they could figure out. The doctors didn't know what was causing it. And I would work on her, and it would go away for about 3 weeks and then start to come back. So I would see her about every 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Well, she had a friend suggest to her that she have a past life regression done. So she did. She went to an intuitive, did a past life regression, and it came through that she had seen that she had been in a house where there was heavy flooding. She stepped down into the basement, and the flooding basically was over a wire, and there was an open electrical wire in there, and it electrocuted her, and she died in ankle-deep water. And so that had impacted her consciousness and was causing the edema. That's pretty mind-blowing, but so many traditions say that we don't just live once. We constantly come back. And Tom Pettit, thank you so much, sent an email about the mudslide video a few days ago. Number 33 pops up a lot. It sure does. Thank you so much for your support there, Tom. Henry, how do we escape the demiurge soul reincarnation trap? Plus, we don't consent to be louche. Is it true that the light wash our memory of past lives? Yeah, I've heard that too, and we can't escape it. Just like what Buddha did, it's a realization, and other individuals have done it. Many yogis have done it in the Buddhist tradition, achieving the rainbow body as well. It takes work. I mean, it's not just saying a phrase. It's not doing any one particular act. It takes a lot of meditation and perhaps many, many, many lives as well.
Yeah, so I mean, with that, you guys, thanks for showing up. Please, if you don't mind, checking your subscriptions, because I think it seems like they go through regularly and kind of unsub people. I'm not sure. If you don't mind clicking that sub button for us, that would be super awesome. Thanks for everything that you guys contribute. We so appreciate you, greatly appreciate you, love to connect with you, and hopefully we can do it again tomorrow.
And we see over here out of Epoch Times, for yet another day, the global markets took a steep dive, and it's only going to keep going. The Dow Jones hit its longest pre-weekend losing streak since 2006, as the fears are obviously underscoring this. Well, it'd be a good thing to look up. Well, 1918 was a mess, because you had the World War going on, and then you had the Spanish flu come out still. So, what's it going to look like? Gosh, we only know. But I would say, again, I think having actual goods on hand that you're going to need. We had talked about 6 months supply. That's a good start. Try to think even longer term. Some of my friends that have resources, some back in North Carolina come to mind, and other locations too. I mean, they literally have stores of food and everything else you would need for years, years. We're not at that point, but I think the way we eat, I think we're going to end up basically cooking for many people. That's what's going to happen. It's already kind of the case. I like to cook, though. China's coronavirus recovery is all fake, whistleblowers and residents claim. Yeah, so what's the true numbers? We don't know. They're sending people back to work, and that's not good. And a lot of people, you can't not really go, though. I mean, this is probably one of the worst regimes in so many ways on the planet, especially when it comes to personal rights. We don't know, but it's not accurate. And here we see, this is also out of the Epoch Times, Russia, China spreading false narratives about coronavirus. U.S. State Department official says. Well, yeah, okay. And, so what's up with all the test kits that we don't have any, and then, no, we never had a shortage. I think all the governments are giving us BS. I think it's that part seems to be spreading on, pretty evenly.
Yeah. Yeah. The chaos and confusion is being spread on perfectly.
And so we see here demand for zombie apocalypse bunkers soars sixfold since coronavirus outbreak. And as we've shared with you guys, we are looking to get off-grid capable. And we do have a small piece of land that we're working on obtaining, and basically we'll be living out of our camper, a 19-foot camper, so it's not a very big camper. And so last night we were thinking about what could we do so quick, because we want to do an earthbag home, but we were thinking, well, maybe we could put together more of a compound type thing, like the earthbag house is going to take a while to build, because that's a lot of digging, it just takes a while. It doesn't cost a lot. It's a lot of physical labor, and then we're still trying to do videos, and the other stuff that we do, and Cindy's been getting pretty busy doing a lot of Vedic charts for people. So I started to think about what we saw, because we did see one house that was built from 2 shipping containers. And so I started thinking about that. And I know, my friend Larry over in Texas, he's done this before, and dropping down shipping containers, even with the knowledge that at some point he's going to turn that into another, bug out home, basically. Because if you put a shipping container down into the earth, right away you have a 320 square foot, thereabouts typically, little tiny home that will be pretty well regulated. And while, in the desert, you might get temps that'll be 100 to 110 typically, in the summer months. But still not too bad at night, 65, 70 overnight. But when you get down like 5 feet, it's a constant temperature. So it's perfect for that. And I wouldn't do the shipping containers when I was, like say in Florida or in the southeast as much, just out of the thought that the lightning and the plasma discharge is all increasing. But here, we get a storm every month maybe,
About once a month.
And I haven't seen any lightning, I don't think, here. I think we heard some distant thunder. But as we see here on Zero Hedge, demand for zombie apocalypse bunkers soars sixfold. People want a bunker. Look at that. That is a pretty interesting concept. We've been watching a lot of this stuff. This is what we chill to at night when we're just getting ready to go to bed. And so a lot of people are thinking along those lines. Well, some of these could be very, very expensive. But, hey, the ultra-rich, they'll always get what they need.
Mm-hmm. They will. They'll always get what they need no matter what. So it's never a problem for them. But we get to be creative. That's our blessing.
Jackie Welsh says, I think after tomorrow I'm staying in my house until this is all over. Thumbs up to that. Yurt homes, Amazon, pop-up homes, and campers, Henry says. I love the idea of a yurt. The only thing is the winds. Like they wouldn't make it where we are because we get pretty intense winds. They would be flying somewhere. Plus we are going to see stronger storms. So that's why I would consider the shipping container and then also most definitely an earthbag home is in the future. But even if we made a earthbag home that was maybe 300 square feet, and then you had the shipping container as well on the property, that could be done a little bit quicker. But it's all, we'll see what flows naturally. Mm-hmm. But those are good ideas, most definitely. And why is customs still not screening passengers from coronavirus hotspots like Italy, Iran, South Korea who arrive at major airports, including JFK, LAX, Atlanta, and Chicago? Is it because it's endemic perhaps across the globe? This is out of Daily Mail. It's all been too little, too late. And if we got to point fingers, we got to point fingers at the top. The WHO has been atrocious in this. I don't. Would you guys consider that accurate?
Well, yeah, I mean, but I think they've been atrocious for a reason. They have their grubby mitts all over
Yeah.
those
I'm
things.
trying to play. See, sometimes I play devil's advocate, trying to look at it like, okay, I'm somebody that just came into the chat room here, and I only watch either CNN, MSB, NBC, or Fox, and then I'm not a conspiratorialist. From that point of view, trying to look at it from that point of view. Even from that point of view, the WHO sucks. Plain and simple. It's been horrible. They've been horrible, and the lack of truth has been horrible from day one. Spectators will be banned at NCAA Division III basketball tournament games at Johns Hopkins due to the COVID-19. So we might watch March Madness, right? And there might not be anybody cheering them on. Maybe they'll do the fake laugh and fake applause and all that they used to do with like sitcoms like Three's Company. Fake roars and cheers and oohs and ahs just to make it look like somebody's there.
Oh, there you go. Chaos at hospitals due to shortage of coronavirus tests.
But I thought there wasn't a shortage, and that there's always been kits available.
Yeah.
So, and then we have this one. As the coronavirus spreads, one study predicts that even the best case scenario is 15 million dead and a 2.4 trillion hit to global GDP. So now we're starting to see, some more sobering forecasts coming out that, may be looking a little bit more legitimate in the light of what we've seen happen in these countries and the way that these, I didn't share one, but I mean, there was another one of those horrible videos coming out that we saw like in China, but it was in Iran. And it was just somebody, and I don't know what they were saying. They weren't speaking English, but there was just bodies everywhere. Just, bodies in black bags everywhere. And it was exactly what we saw, over in Iran.
Thank you, Henry. Once sporting events cancel, the people will wake up. We'll see. I hope so.
I think we're awake. It almost feels like the leadership's not awake. So, but I think a lot of people are awake. People in this chat room are awake. That's for sure. And isolate, don't congregate. Yeah, leading a nation would be a tough thing to do. Yeah, concerts being canceled already only makes sense. Yeah, I heard about that shadow ban by YouTube. I didn't look, thankfully, but I did hear about it. The political rallies, I would think that they should stop, honestly. And we've watched a lot of UFC, and we were watching the weigh-ins and stuff. And like they have an event in LA, Las Vegas tomorrow. And I was just even thinking, even if I had free tickets, I wouldn't go. And tickets are not cheap, but I wouldn't go because I just think it's crazy to do that right now. So and so this other study is talking about 15 million, but it most definitely is looking very Spanish flu-ish at least. So here we see how the White House protects Trump and his staff from coronavirus, and he is looking really tired. So it's being taken seriously in some ways more than others. Thousands of U.S. residents have been asked by state governments to self-quarantine. And, that's different in each situation.
It is, self-quarantine. I mean, we can be doing it now. It's the vocabulary words that they use that bother me. I mean, I think we should self-isolate, and it should be like something that we do voluntarily right now. I just don't want to.
So while residents across states have so far been compliant with going into self-quarantine voluntarily, health officials can issue orders making both quarantines and isolations mandatory. Violating those orders could result in legal repercussions. Last week, a New Hampshire medical employee who was told to self-isolate attended a private event, prompting the state's Department of Health and Human Services to issue an official order for isolation, according to a department news release. Violating an official order issued by the DHHS commissioner can result in a misdemeanor, according to New Hampshire law. As for New Yorkers who test positive with the virus, isolating themselves is mandatory. That is policed, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo told CNN affiliate WCBS. It's monitored and policed. We can check on those people and make sure they are doing it. Following the announcements of the state's first positive case on Monday, Westchester County Health Commissioner Dr. Sherlita Omler directed a temple to suspend all services and ask people to self-quarantine. The man who tested positive attended Temple Young Israel, and officials said they were worried about potential exposure. Those who do not self-quarantine will be mandated to by the County Department of Health to do so, a Westchester County statement said. But with no official orders, the governor says the quarantine is voluntary. Out of abundance of caution, it'd be helpful if you agree to quarantine. Isolate yourself for 14 days. We don't have any direct reason. You haven't tested positive. You're not symptomatic. But we're all good citizens. We're all trying to do what we can to stop the spread, and that would be helpful. So how are they monitored? Local and state governments largely follow CDC guidance on how they check their quarantine population. Those individuals should be interviewed by either telephone, text monitoring system, or video conference by health officials, according to CDC guidelines. Public health personnel can interview residents in person, keeping a distance of at least 6 feet. But in many communities, reaching out to quarantine residents may mean largely relying on the honor system. So, yeah, and every state is different, and there again, that's one of those things where, you're going to have a wide variety unless it gets to, where we really do have that complete medical martial law going on.
Thank you, Henry. A computer model processed by computers in 1973 has predicted civilization 2020 to 2040. The prediction came from program World 1, which was developed by a team of MIT researchers. Have you? Yes, have heard of that. It's very interesting. I think if that's the same one we're talking about, it was a pretty basic computer program. If that's not the one, then no, and we'll look it up.
There was a remote viewing that was done 2 years ago, and it was really interesting because, well, actually, there's another remote viewer that had seen this. What was his name again? I forget. I'm trying to think. I was going to line that up on a different video. I totally forget his name. But there was other remote viewing that was done that showed the remote viewers went to a point, and this is from a long time ago, like the 80s, 90s. And they went to a point, I think it was 2040-ish, around 2040. And the population is very Georgia Guidestones-like.
That's really creepy.
Yeah, something had happened.
Yeah, that's really creepy stuff, and this could be the beginnings of something.
Rooster, that's right. Edward Reardon, exactly. Yeah, that's who it was. So, guys, as always, thank you so much for your support. You guys keep us going. Also on Patreon and Ko-Fi. Take this seriously. Avoid, obviously, going out into large gatherings. That's just a no-brainer at this point. And we love you guys. We look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Take care, guys. God bless and namaste.
God bless and namaste.